goodbye to a man who has touched all of us so deeply that I'm really proud of what our state has been able to put together. Now, this ceremony was organized by his wife, Marlene, and she said earlier that she did it because the people of Hawaii supported him so tremendously that she felt that they had a lot to do with his success, and she wanted to say thank you. In fact, earlier the family started to go by to pay their respects, and it was taking a long time, so she asked that the family wait their turn later in the week and allow the public to come through. And they've asked everyone to do it peacefully and with aloha, and that has been what has happened. Now, this state funeral, of course, a very rare event for a very wonderful person. The ceremony opened at 5 p.m. There will be a formal service here at 7:30 p.m. And on the stage right now are the Makaha Sons. From now through 10 p.m. this evening, local entertainers will be taking their turn at the stage to pay their tribute. Up next will be Roby, Kahakalau, and Fiji, Henry Kapono. We have a whole lineup all night long tonight. And one thing that we mentioned at 5 that I think it's important to mention again this evening at 6 is that friends of Iz tell us that in his final days, when he knew he was losing his battle, that he was actually very at peace with himself, that he had friends and family gathered around him in his hospital room, that they did a lot of singing and chanting and cracking jokes, and that it was actually a very nice thing for him in the end. And we're happy that we've all been able to pay tribute to him. He had the ability to meet with you briefly and touch you deeply, and we'll join the ceremony again a little later in the newscast.
Thank you, Kim. What a beautiful way to go, and what a beautiful tribute. We will check back with you a little bit later, and we will have a complete update on our 10 o'clock news also. Thanks again.
Took a great deal of organization. Earlier today, dozens of volunteers were on hand at the Capitol preparing for the services. KGMB's Mahealani Richardson spoke with some of the people who gave their time.
They came from across the state to share their tokens of love and appreciation.
He's touched a lot of people, in his life, and I guess this is just a way of everybody saying aloha brother Iz, and thank you for all your music.
Everybody's trying to do something, and they're actually slowing people up, I think, because there's so many people offering help.
This flag is the biggest Hawaiian flag in the islands, and these stagehands say it's only brought out during concerts for Iz and the Casimiro brothers.
We're members of IATSC Local 665, which is the Stagehands Union. We're all here to support Brother Iz for his music and what he's done good for Hawaii, and everybody loves him.
Joe Miller handcrafted this koa table and will give it to Iz's family.
And we just put the thing together for love for Iz. And everybody signed it that helped and kuku'd on the project underneath from the Big Island. And it was just a little act of love for the family.
The table says, "Ua pau ua hala lako a ko'e no nā pua." You've left, but you'll never be forgotten. It's the old Hawaiian way for saying farewell to a king.
He's the greatest. He's the best. He's Hawaiian.
At the state capitol, Mahealani Richardson, KGMB 9 News.
Also before the ceremony, the body was taken inside the Senate chambers. Family members had said they wanted some of the preparations to remain private.
The music of Iz touched the lives of those.
There are those who say Israel Kamakawiwoʻole had the voice of an angel. His music and his life inspired friends, fans, and fellow musicians. He will live forever in the songs of the islands and in the hearts of the people. Tonight, we pay our last respects to Israel.
Here in this
And now, a KGMB 9 News special report. Remembering Iz.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Jade Moon.
And I'm Tim Tyndall. Tonight, the chronicle of life and death of an island icon. A man whose stature in our community was so great that tonight several thousand people are expected to be at his service. Friends, fans, and family all gathered at the state capitol with heavy hearts to say a final goodbye to Israel Kamakawiwoʻole. This is a live picture from the Capitol where, at the family's request, the entertainer's body is lying in repose, an honor previously granted only to Governor John Burns and to Senator Spark Matsunaga. So how is it that a one-time poor boy from Pololo is sharing a place in history with two of modern Hawaii's greatest figures?
Well, the answer lies, of course, in part with the overwhelming popularity of his music, and in part with his ability to reach the people with his message, especially Hawaii's keiki. KGMB 9's Mahalani Richardson will have that report in a moment. But first, the musical path that led to the creation of a real-life Hawaiian Superman.
I know that I won't live forever, but forever I'll be loving you.
Israel's journey in this life began on May 20th, 1959. He was the third of 4 children of Henry and Evangeline. They were a family big in stature and big of heart, and they were blessed with a gift for music.
Everybody in our family actually is in some way musically inclined. Everybody sang, everybody played the ukulele, the guitar, and stuff like that. And of course, you know, whenever we're at luau's, everybody entertained. So Skippy and Israel just grew up with it.
I spoke with people who knew him and watched him grow up. His uncle, his cousin, and his best friend. They describe a boy who may have had a sweet voice, but the kid was no angel.
I was loved by you.
One of the rottenest, spoiled kids that I ever saw in my life. I swear.
But Iz had another side, a side that made him an easy person to love.
This song, ladies and gentlemen, goes out to everybody out there, in here, around, on the side, on top, and most of all, underneath.
He was one of the nicest, giving persons that you're ever going to know.
He would sit down and people would just come around him and he made friends in no time.
Even at that age?
Even at that age.
Sam Gray, his Hanai brother, says they did the things boys in Hawaii do. Checked out girls, hung out at the beach, went to school, sort of. Iz never graduated.
There was one problem. He was I think, a credit or two. And from what I understand, there was a song that he was supposed to finish that he would have gotten that credit. He finished the song, but it wasn't up to standards.
He wrote the song, but he didn't get his diploma.
No.
Why not?
Well, it was, the name of the song was Pakololo Tip of Your Feet.
They didn't like that.
They didn't like that.
But always, there was music. In 1976, they were just kids in their mid-teens when they formed the group that made them famous, the Makaha Sons of Ni'ihau.
They developed their own sound.
Absolutely.
Pretty young.
Absolutely.
And it was this woman, Jackie Skylark Rossetti, who first recognized their potential and got them their first big break.
I invited the boys to come up and record a few songs. That night we recorded a Ku'u Morning Dew that the Sons of Hawaii had just released, and another song. And I knew then that these boys had some wonderful potential as they launched on their new career.
It's a way that they come across on stage. That's what's really important. And I think it's the magic. You know, if you put it in one word, it's the magic.
There was magic, but there was tragedy. Bad luck and bad health were the twin curses of the Kamakawiwoʻoles. Henry died of cancer. Evangeline and baby sister Leilani had bad hearts. And then there was Skippy.
Skippy and Israel was two opposite brothers. Everything that Skippy liked doing, the brother Israel wouldn't like. Completely opposite. Everything that Israel did, that Skippy didn't like. And they would always buck heads. But Israel always knew that Skippy was the oldest brother and he had to respect Skippy.
Skippy was the driving force behind the Sons. When he died, only Israel and Lydia were left. Israel tried for a while to be the same spoiled rascal boy, but two things happened. He got married, and in 1993, he broke with the Sons, yet another separation from those he loved.
And you could see a big change from that time of the Kolohe Israel to the humble Israel. Change it. Exactly what I remember Skippy to be. That's the way Israel became. Big change.
So he took the best of his brother. He grew up.
That is a very kind word for Israel. He grew up. He grew up. And I loved him for that. Big change. Big heart.
But ultimately, being big brought a premature and tragic end to the career of this beloved man. But his music and his memory are destined to live on.
In this life, I was loved by you. In this life, I was loved by you.
I said, mommy, who's that? It's the big man himself. I said, ooh, I wanna be like you.
The keiki of Hawaii had a special place in Israel's heart. He often gave free performances at schools, and people who knew him say he was always joking with the kids, always showing them he cared.
Some of the kids out there, they don't have as what everybody has. And for ears to come out and just do, a concert free, it makes anybody happy.
He was deep into the Hawaiian culture. That's why for us young guys, he taught us where we came from and that.
And that's why the kids who loved Iz are returning his aloha with signs and songs of their own.
Yeah, Johnny Mahoy, I know that song. My back of my head already.
One day there was a clash between the blue and the red. And the fight was over. Johnny laid it.
Many of these children never met the famous singer, but they say they understand that he too went through rough times.
Well, like his song, In This Life, he talked about his life, and how he grew up and stuff.
Whenever he sings, I don't know, it's like he gives me chicken skins, like he's telling the truth or something, I don't know.
His songs is so good, and now he passed away and gone, and just sad.
He inspired us by starting us to be yourself, be somebody. You don't have to act or be somebody that you're not, just be yourself. It's not the person what they look like, it's the heart inside that makes them somebody. And that's what it's all about. When Iz died, he doesn't just hit people from Hawaii and I, but the whole state of Hawaii.
The life of this Aina, this land, is perpetuated in righteousness for you and I, the people of Hawaii.
Now, in many ways, Iz's message to the children and others was to respect and trust who you are.
And for many of those he reached, never again would be the same.
If it wasn't for him, my life wouldn't be complete. He kind of filled in the spaces that it was empty in my body.
I remember listening to his music, and I felt like he was trying to reach out to me and just kind of like reaching out to everyone and trying to help them out.
He was like, I don't know, someone I could look up to, yeah? Like, I could follow in his steps. Like, give us dreams, yeah, as kids, that we could hope someday be someone great like he is, yeah?
Aloha, I'm Russell Shimoka. KGMB 9 and Hawaiian 105 invite you to celebrate the 10th anniversary summer series of Island Music, Island Hearts, this week featuring Olomana.
Mahalo, Russell. Gosh, Jerry, it's been 10 years since you've been here at KGMB. Can you believe it?
No, we're a little older, a lot wiser, and happy making music.
Friday night at 7 on KGMB 9, one of the good things about Hawaii.
Some of Israel Kamakawiwoʻole's success can be attributed to his size. An exceptionally large man with an extraordinarily sweet voice is hard to forget. But his size also killed him. KGMB's Sandra Sagisi has the story of how chronic obesity tragically choked the life from a 38-year-old man.
Despite the challenges of morbid obesity, Iz was always on the move. He excelled in music, and playing the ukulele was his therapy.
If something's going bad that day, it kind of takes me out of reality for a while, you know, and it gets me ready to face reality again, and you put them back in the case.
At 700 pounds, Iz once told me he felt as if he were imprisoned in his own body. His never-ending goal was to lose 300 pounds. He constantly lost weight, but as quickly as it was gone, it would return.
The one, the only, the ultimate Hawaiian Superman.
Through all the personal pain he suffered, Brother Iz always managed to make the world better for others.
He broke all odds by living and being mobile and singing and taking the messages of Hawaii all the way around the world.
Getting around every day was a tour. He often jokingly referred to himself and people of his size as Hawaiian small.
They don't make theater chairs for fit us guys, you know? And then, you know, for walking in the mall, it's tough, bro. You know, I can walk, no problem, you know, sit down, rest a little while, walk, you know, some more. But it's also tough on the mind, because with people on my size, you know, regular people, but they look at you like you from space or something, you know? And, you know, you cannot blame them, you know? They're not used to seeing, you know, people of my size, you know?
As the years rolled on, Iz began spending more and more time off the stage and in the hospital. He had constant problems with his poor legs. This form of exercise gave Iz a sense of freedom.
Israel Kamakawiwoʻole spent some time doing pool therapy. It helped him to relieve the pain and discomfort of walking while he was in the water. One of the complications of morbid obesity is that the victim's legs retain water and they are prone to infection.
Morbid obesity can lead towards pulmonary problems.
Dr. Ed Chun of the Queens Medical Center was one of numerous physicians who treated the Hawaiian superstar as he battled obesity.
And over a course of time, this leads towards heart failure. The heart will get enlarged, and then it will reach a point that it cannot pump sufficiently, and the heart will fail with more fluid retention. Obesity is a sickness, and we need a team approach to this. This includes a nutritionist, probably psychological counseling, and if possible, a personal trainer, together with family and friends support.
I saw you in my dream. We were walking hand in hand on a white sandy beach of Hawaii.
For Brother Iz, it was his lungs that finally failed. Because despite being overburdened for most of his life, his heart was just too big to give up the fight.
He survives us all. He's living up there smiling, playing music, and jamming the rest of the Hawaiians with his brother and Gabby and everybody. He's smiling on us.
Sound of the ocean rocks me all night long.
Who knows how much Iz really suffered living with all of that weight, knowing all the while that he was slowly dying. But despite his deteriorating health, Iz told KGMB9 photographer Christopher Skapik that he wasn't afraid to die.
I guess it's gonna sound kind of weird. I'm not scared for myself for dying, because how do I not? Because I believe all of these, it's all temporary. This is just one shell. Because we Hawaii, we live in both worlds. I don't know if you can relate to this. We live We cannot help it, but it's in our veins. It's the cocoa that flow in our body. We cannot help it. You know, we live on both sides. So, yes. Prepare for me. Go plant one tree, the Kapilani Park, in the middle of the park where they play soccer. Go plant one core tree over there for me, guys. A big baller. And well, plant them small, let them go big. My name is Israel Kamakawiwoʻole. Oh boy. Hawaii's Lagos. Hard for fire, my class. You never find another Hawaiian like me.
Hands need hands to help you see what lies ahead, what you want to be. Hands need hands, hands to reach.
Kids today need extra help to stay in school. Communities and Schools brings hands in need together with hands that can help.
Once again, we are live at the state capitol where a memorial service for Israel Kamakawiwoʻole is beginning in the rotunda in about 40 minutes. His body will lie here for public viewing until around 10 o'clock tonight. And if you can't make it there, a second memorial service will be held tomorrow at Borthwick Mortuary, and that's at 11.
Now, some people have criticized the governor for extending permission to his family for this event, but others say it's the appropriate place for a man who in many ways personified the Hawaiian spirit. His friends say when they open a dictionary and they look up aloha, they expect to see his face. And that might be just the most significant reason he was loved so dearly by so many. And even those close to him were stunned by the outpouring of emotion the day the musician died.
7:46, good morning. It's CFO at your morning jam.
You could feel the pain.
Brother Israel Kamakawiwoʻole died at 12:18 this morning at the Queens Medical Center.
As the news spread.
The sky is low. The sky is crying.
It's hard to do a show when you can hear the emotion of the callers or crying on the phone. I got grown men crying and I got women crying in the background. It's losing Israel is like losing a personal family member to a lot of people.
Vigils were organized in the only way that seemed fitting. Israel Kamakawiwoʻole was just a singer, but he had a gift he shared with his brother Skippy. For when he sang and when he talked, it came straight from the heart.
Israel had a way of sending a message across that he never, he touched everybody. You know, it wasn't only adults, you know, it was the kids.
Small kids, this guy is massive. Small kids just come up to him and he could talk to them, they'd talk on the same level. Then a kupuna would all of a sudden, oh boy, how are you? He would talk to them on their level. He could adapt. He could talk to people on a level they could understand and appreciate.
Del Beasley wrote songs for Israel, songs he knew no one else could do in quite the same way. And he says nowhere was the Kamakawiwoʻole magic more evident than when he visited the Waikiki Music Festival.
People were skanking and dancing and everything. Then the Makar sons of Me Ho came up. And Israel was in the front. And the people just flocked to the stage. I mean, just like sheep. And they just stood and they swayed. People cry. Just listening to Hawaiian music, you know. And just,
He had the magic, man.
But the Kamakawiwoʻole's secret was not in the notes or the special effects. It was simply his.
It comes down to soul. It just comes down to his being. That's what the music comes down to. What he felt, how big his heart was, and how much aloha he put into it.
He would close his eyes, get in touch with himself, get in touch with the spirit, get in touch with the song and the message, and that in itself would be bigger than eye contact, you know, much bigger.
And the singer knew people were listening, so he left messages in his music: stay away from gangs and don't abuse drugs. But even further down was a simpler message.
If you do good, you treat people with aloha, you know, you get the same thing back. And if everybody started doing that, what a wonderful place Hawaii would be. Israel understood this. He understood how the culture and the music all mixed together. If you can get people thinking the right way, gee, what a paradise this place would really, really be. And he understood that, and he saw that in the culture and the music. And for a lot of Hawaiians, that meant a lot.
It wasn't only Hawaiians listening to Israel's words and his songs. His music and message crossed all cultural and racial boundaries and went directly to the heart.
And it's from the heart that people are now expressing their affection for a man they simply called his.
The thing I remember most about him down the years is just enjoying life, respecting each other, and not forget the Hawaiian ways.
To have someone like Iz pass away before future generations could meet him and hear him, you know, it's just a loss. With Gabi Pahinui gone, you know, Iz is just another, just like a legend in our hearts now. And future generations will never, you know, get to hear his music live, and that's where you really felt his love.
Aloha, I'm Russell Shimoka. KGMB 9 and Hawaiian 105 invite you to celebrate the 10th anniversary summer series of Island Music, Island Hearts, this week featuring Olomana.
Mahalo, Russell. Gosh, Jerry, it's been 10 years since you've been here at KGMB. Can you believe it?
No, we're a little older, a lot wiser, and happy making music.
Friday night at 7 on KGMB 9, one of the good things about Hawaii.
The mourners of Israel Kamakawiwoʻole continue their pilgrimage to the state capital. That's the view you're seeing now. 15 years ago, it was his brother Skippy for whom Hawaii wept. Skippy's ashes were scattered at Makua Beach. And on Saturday, Israel's ashes will join his brothers in a public ceremony that begins at noon. If you're unable to attend any of these memorial services, you can still express your sympathy to Israel's family by sending a card of condolence or a letter. And here's the address: Post Office Box 308, Aiea. And the zip code is 96701. That's Post Office Box 308, Aiea, Hawaii, 96701.
A few final thoughts now. The life of Israel Kamakawiwoʻole wasn't all music and mana and magic. As even his family told me, Iz wasn't perfect. He was a high school dropout, a former drug user. He fought and lost a battle with morbid obesity. But people took him into their heart in spite of all that. Because of those problems, Iz rose above his troubles and asked his followers, especially the kids, to learn from his mistakes. Now, he told people he had abused drugs, and it was not the answer. And he told youths that a rag was not for displaying gang colors, but to wipe your brow. Many of them listened. And that might be his greatest gift to the people of his beloved Hawaii.
True giant in every sense of the word, Brother Iz transcended the music world and became a permanent part of the fabric of our island community.
Iz was pure Hawaii, and with his passing, a part of all of us is gone. Thanks for watching. Until we meet again, aloha and good night.
I'll remember you. And if someone
Aloha, everybody. God bless. Drive safe. Mahalo.
Yes.
With our old health plan, we
building.
One reason is because the governor called him a state treasure.
You'll see the outpouring of affection.
KGMB 9 News next.
KGMB 9, celebrating
Are tonight by the thousands to say a personal farewell to a Hawaiian superstar. Good evening, I'm Jade Moon.
And I'm Tim Tyndall. One of the island's most popular musicians is remembered by thousands who admire his music. And his melodies not only touched people here in the islands, but also inspired others around the world. Mourners came from as far as New York City to attend services for Israel Kamakawiwoʻole. And joining us live now from the state capitol, reporter Sandra Sagisi. Sandra, you've already told us you've seen an outpouring of love, grief, and even moments of happiness down there.
It's very emotional right now, Tim, because the remaining crowd is now bidding their final farewell to Israel Kamakawiwoʻole. Very touching at this moment. The family tells me there have been 10,000 people who streamed through the Capitol courtyard tonight. This is probably about 1,000 people left singing Aloha Oi to Israel Kamakawiwoʻole. If you can hear it at this moment, this is probably the most upbeat service I've ever attended up until right now, when tears are flowing down people's cheeks. And the Kamakawiwoʻole family tells me Israel would have wanted it that way. It has been a day filled with emotion, a day filled with music, dance, and a few tears. It was a service fit for a king, mixed with Hawaiian chants and praises. The Makaha sons of Ni'ihau set the mood for this musical tribute as friends of Israel Kamakawiwoʻole bid farewell through song.
The joy and happiness that he brings out of his music is what seems to be the feeling of this place right now.
I miss playing with him, enjoying the country with him, but I will remember him fondly.
His widow Marlene, daughter of Kawehe, along with island dignitaries, sat near the casket to receive condolences. Israel's casket was custom-made, brought in from the mainland, but some local people added koa to it. He is draped in Hawaiian quilt, and in his casket is one of his favorite ukuleles. Also, a koa fish hook called Macau, which represents a fisherman of all spirits. They pay tribute to a man who was bigger than life in the Hawaiian music industry. A man who friends say had a big heart, and because he was so large in stature, his size caused major complications that eventually killed him. Friends remembered young Iz as a rascal.
Israel would, he'd make slight remarks and stuff, and the mother would grab him by his lips and pinch his lips. And the mother is short, so she would pinch his lips and hold him up in the air like this, and he'd be on his toes running around on the sand, and the rest of us on the ground laughing.
Family members say if a high school dropout like Israel could overcome challenges of drugs, so can the children of today.
And the message that he wants to leave with all of us here, how very the obstacles that he has to face, his health, his illness, right, Uncle?
Right. Overcoming a drug example, like for him, which he overcame it. And what he was doing is trying to get back to our keikis, our keikis of the Aina.
This service left very little room for mourning. It was a time of celebration, to celebrate the life of Israel Kamakawiwoʻole, whose music and spirit, according to fans, will live forever. Now, the Kamakawiwoʻole family is paying for the services at the Capitol tonight. If you weren't able to attend, here's how you can still express your sympathy to Israel's family. Send a condolence card or letter to P.O. Box 308 Aiea, zip code 96701. That's P.O. Box 308 Aiea, Hawaii 96701. During our story, you missed it. The crowd yelled, "Supe, Supe." That was Israel Kamakawiwoʻole's signature line. Very touching at this moment. And there's going to be another service tomorrow at Borthwick Mortuary. The only problem with that is that it can only seat 500 people, and the Kamakawiwoʻole family itself is about that size.
Sandra, usually with the crowd that size, they usually have some medical services available. Were they needed today or tonight?
They were. It was hot during the day when the services started at 5 o'clock. 6 people passed out, and so the paramedics had to use their services. But right now, as I said, the services are winding down. And on Saturday, don't forget, if you missed this tonight, you can see the ceremony where they're going to be scattering his ashes in Makua Beach. That is the same place where Skippy Kamakawiwoʻole was also, his ashes were also scattered. One dying wish that Israel Kamakawiwoʻole had was that he wanted to be on the hokule'a. He never came around to it, and so this Saturday, his family says his wish will finally be fulfilled. His ashes will sail on that double-hulled canoe as it sails the Waianae coast. Tim?
All right, thank you, Sandra. This has been quite a day of celebration of life for a talented island musician and a very interesting man. Thank you, Sandra.
And Iz built a huge following over the years. Through his music, he epitomized the spirit of the Hawaiian people. What we saw tonight was the powerful bond he had with both friends and fans. A bond that, as Jerry Drilling reports, has only grown stronger with his passing.
They came, fans and friends by the thousands, from around the state, clinging to memories of Brudda Iz. In a way, they were all building one last memory. It was their way of saying aloha to Israel for everything he did for them.
Through his song, yeah, you could feel the mana, you could feel the aloha. And made a lot of people, I think, feel good deep inside when his songs play. And that's what encouraged me to come down here and just pay my last respects to the brother.
It meant a lot to me. It means a lot of world to me. And he's such a good guy. I just love his music and his songs, and it just goes out to all the people in the island.
In the crowds, both young and old, one generation passing on a heartfelt memory of singer Israel Kamakawiwoʻole.
Whatever he said came from the heart, and he's a meaning of Hawaii and a meaning of aloha.
Brudda Iz had a special place in his heart for kids, and you can see it in the face of this youngster who will always remember him.
Big man with a big heart.
For others, words couldn't convey the feelings here tonight, so they honored him with music. While many strained to watch the service, others lingered, sharing memories about Israel, about seeing him once, about trips they took with him, about his days as a member of the Makaha Sons of Ni'ihau.
Brudda Iz will be in my heart, or as we all call him, Uncle, but I will never, never forget the Makaha Sons of Ni'ihau.
All those memories drawing thousands for a final farewell to one special Hawaiian.
I knew that we'll have this much people, and like everybody said, what Michael Jordan is to the Chicago Bulls, this is what Brudda Iz is to Hawaii.
Jerry Drelling, KGMB 9 News.
Many of Iz's fans attending tonight's service stayed the entire 5 hours. They're probably still there now.
What a night. 3 Hawaii sons have been honored by having their bodies lie in state at the Capitol building. Governor John Burns, Senator Spark Matsunaga, and now Israel Kamakawiwoʻole. Some people openly wondered why the island musician was being accorded this unusual honor.
Israel was a state treasure. I mean, he was a giant in his field. He won virtually every award that one could dream of here in the state of Hawaii. Had a very, very big following. And I made the decision to approve the use of the rotunda because he had acquired, in my opinion, a special status.
Others pointed out that it is the people's capital and that it is not reserved for politicians. Organizers of the memorial services say they received no formal complaints. And again, if you want to express your sympathy to Israel's family, send a condolence card or letter to Post Office Box 308 Aiea. Zip code is 96701. That's Post Office Box 308 Aiea, Hawaii, 96701.
What a wonderful send-off.
Nice day.